I just wanted to tell you about the new COVID test. This is the new swab that we're about to.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, I refuse. No, really. My name is Sid. I just wanted to have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you're here at the rally.
Okay, well, my name is Karen Bedonie. I'm from the western part of New Mexico between Gallup and Farmington on the reservation, the Navajo Nation reservation. And how we introduce ourselves is with our clan. So, and that means I am of the earth and of the land, and it's where I come from. So I am one of the very beginning beings of a New Mexican. So when I tell people who I am, I'm saying they drew the lines around my family when they created New Mexico. So we are New Mexicans. So I am here because we are under attack and we're losing our Constitution and our liberties and our freedom. So that's why I'm here, fighting for each and every one of you Americans and also our future and our prosperity. So that's why I'm here.
That is excellent. So I was listening to you speak up there a little bit before, and we're gonna cut that part out, or we may just leave it in for the heck of it. Why not?
She's adorable.
Yes, she is. Yeah. So what moved you in the beginning to decide to step out and take a risk? I mean, you were saying that you had to take a risk to come off of the reservation today,
right,
out of the nation, because they're not letting people leave because they the COVID issues. So right, tell me a little bit about what that's like, and also why you decided to come out here and stand up like this.
Right. Well, my fight began a long time ago. I was 8 years old when I heard Ronald Reagan speak. And when he told you, when he was out there speaking, and he said that, when the government says we're here to save you, then that means something's wrong. And as an 8-year-old, and I was kind of perplexed by it because we were in a BIA school. I knew that was a government school. So then I turned to my mother and I'm like, what is he talking about? Are we in trouble? And she says, no, he's a Republican. So I was like, well, but it stuck. So that man spoke to me in my spirit, and I kind of carried that with me for a long time. So I've been a Republican my entire life. So when I started to research the differences between Republicans and Democrats, I realized that, holy smokes, the Republicans have been here for the people, and that's how it was built, to save a certain group of people who were under oppression and suppression, slavery. And then it moved into Calvin Coolidge, who was my personal favorite, in 1924 when he signed our citizenship for Native Americans. We weren't citizens because we were born here, didn't make us Americans yet. We were the only group of people that didn't allow that. So he was also a Republican. So it started to really circulate within me, well, who am I and what do I stand for? So I always knew that as an independent person. And on our tribe, we're matrilineal, so the women, we carry the power. So the home is ours, the children is ours, and it's our responsibility to rear these children. So I have 8 children, and I ended up homeschooling all of them because the indoctrination in the public school systems and also the BIA system, some of them are critical to the minds of the young people. So when my son brought home a food stamp application, I realized that socialism was starting to infiltrate my family. And they're starting to indoctrinate our youth to tell them that it's okay to depend on the government.
Be a victim.
Be a victim. And it's a perpetual victim. Then you start to research our history. So we did do a video on Turning Point USA, and they came to my home and they cut a beautiful video. But then there was only 4 days, we did 4 days of shoot, but there was only 15 minutes of actual footage. So you can only imagine what they left on the floor. There's a lot of history there. So when I followed the long walk and how it affected my family directly and how we ended up to where we are now today, it all correlated to understand that the democratic policies that they put the Indian nations through, I have now come to America. We were the experiment, and now America is now the new application. And I'm here, and I'm riding the horse as fast as I can, and I'm trying to cut it off at the pass. Socialism and communism is not where it's at because we are suffering, even today. So my reservation right now, because of these COVID restrictions and the suppression of economics, we're seeing pure suffrage. So I just started an organization called BIDA. It's called BIDA with A. That means we are learning. We are learning to understand the systems around us and what operate around us, also how to interact with each other, be civil and social, and also to project love and understanding, and also God. At the end of the day, it's always God. So I'm here because I'm here to warn everybody that's not a patriot, that it's coming for you. Socialism is coming for you, and it's not all fun and games. It's not, it's not sitting on the couch and watching Beavis and Butthead and eating, Cheetos is not what we are about. They'll take everything that's dignified in your body and your mind, your church, your God, your mother. Right now, they're telling you your mother is just a parent, but they're not nothing relationship in there. But as Dene, we have our clanship. So you know that is wrong. The Democratic Party and what they're projecting onto us is wrong. Also,
government is not mother.
No, it is not. But also, when we talk about ourselves as people, we walk Mother Earth. And then I was talking about the code talkers. Our Navajo Nation has the biggest military enlistment of all minorities combined. The Navajo people believe in fighting for Mother Earth. And so when our code talkers went forth and they said, you have to be able to have code for America or the soldiers. So what's the code name? Arizona. So this morning I woke up with Arizona, and so my husband calls me Chetagahe, that's the turtle, the tank. And that's what the tanks were inside World War II. So as the tank was waking up this morning and I heard Arizona, I realized that something's gonna happen big today. And it did. Arizona did object to the electoral, the whole fraudulent mess that's happening. So I'm happy that Arizona did stand up, and I do have brothers and sisters on the other side of the state, fighting the good fight on that side. But I am a New Mexican. When the line was drawn, I found myself at this side. So I'm here fighting the most oppressive fight of my life in the most bluest state I can ever imagine. And that woman up there, Michelle Lujan Grisham, does not deserve that seat. Because if we go back and track, did she really win her election? Now, so you wonder what the algorithms were back then, because we're not stupid anymore. We are now awake. So in 2022, I've decided I'm going to run for governor. I don't know if I'm going to win, but I'm going to run to change the game. I'm going to say what we need to say, and we're going to blow a hole through these doors because we need to have our freedoms back. We need to have pure representation, and the representation of every American, from our bleeding hearts all the way to what we believe in God, needs to be saying and rang through the heavens. And so in God's, His infinite wisdom, He'll guide me.
Good.
So that's who I am. That's why I'm here.
That's great.
That was a loaded question.
No, I know. No, I'm glad. That's exactly what we're looking for, because we're really stoked that you're doing what you're doing, and that we're all coming together to get this done. So,
right.
And that's the reason that New Mexico Red exists, is because we want to make an economic change for the state,
right,
which is going to require social and political change too. But it's really the economy's stupid.
Well,
you know what I mean? So we're all working towards that.
I'm a businesswoman.
Good.
So I've raised all my children in business with a business module in our homeschool. So all my kids run our businesses. My husband owns his own business. He's a plumbing company. I own a flower shop. That's how we started, just to buy shoes for our kids so they could run cross country. So we've been able to expand. So the economic restrictions that we are running into right now, I know exactly what we're doing. I know exactly what's happening to us.
Well, we're going to be having some more chats, I think.
I think so.
Because I really like you. She's awesome.
Well, one good thing about this whole thing, underneath those red, white, and blue, the flag, is I get to take you as my brother.
Exactly.
And then I'm your sister.
Yes,
so if we stand here, and when skin color doesn't matter, and we start pushing with that flag, we'll win this thing together.
Yeah.
So I'm here for you. Call
Thank
me.
You. All right, good. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Tell me a little bit about what you got anything to add to that?
I also have a podcast.
You do? What's your podcast?
Yeah, Factions of Freedom.
Factions of Freedom?
Yeah, you guys can find me on
Cool.
iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, any other major podcasting
Right on,
platform.
man. Glad you're there. Maybe you'll let me come on and chat a little bit.
I would love to have a private conversation with you about a lot of different things, yes.
Good deal. I'd love it. That's fantastic.
If you could, tell me about your podcast, what made you start it, and...
Okay. Yeah, well, I've been a lifelong resident in New Mexico. I lived in Texas for a long time, but I've traveled around the world. I've seen a lot of... I've been in several communist countries. I've been in several.
If you don't
I am not. I unfortunately, I was headed to the Marines. I blew my leg, and I hadn't signed the papers yet, and they wouldn't let me in.
Hey.
But that's okay.
I understand. There's other ways to fight.
Absolutely, and I've always been a strong supporter of our military fellows and ladies.
Yes.
So, but I ended up traveling around the country or the world and seeing a lot of the way the world was, and then I come back home. I've just been back here in New Mexico for 3 years. I worked in the film business actually for 25 years.
Okay.
And didn't get very far for obvious reasons. They don't really like what I think.
Being honest, I can suppose, yeah?
Yeah, just being straight with them. They didn't really care for it. So when I came back to New Mexico, I just I hadn't been around for 20 years, and I hadn't realized how bad it's gotten here. And it was always bad, but it's gotten much worse in terms of how the state's run. And my podcast is really, we're trying to focus more on the economy, stupid, rather than
the economy,
it is. And dealing with social issues, dealing with politics, but really around how can we rebuild this state and trying to bring a positive direction to it. So that's kind of the nutshell of what New Mexico Red is. I'm familiar with you guys and appreciate where you stand. And
this is not a club opinion.
Right.
But we are all good men.
I agree with that.
At the very same thing go down.
Yeah.
Realizing the resources and the tools that we have.
Yeah.
Building our own weapon system to combat this, and at the same time teach the next generation. So I'm honored to stand.
I'm honored with you too, man. I'm honored. Yeah, that's good.
Impeach MLG, sign your petitions, sign while they're hot.
You got it rolling?
Registered voter.
So we're clearly here with some busy people. Hey, show me that sign. Show me that sign. Turn that sign around. As we're talking to these guys about what they're doing to work to impeach MLG. And so they're going to introduce themselves now.
I'm Rebecca. And Natalie and I, we do a webcast on Facebook on Monday evenings on our Liberty Ladies Unite page. We also have a radio show on KIVA, The Rock of Talk, on Saturdays from 1 to 4 at 1600 a.m. And we started doing that a couple of months ago. We kind of got noticed by Eddie Aragon that owns the station, and he asked us to come in and kind of do a couple of records, and everybody loved us, so he gave us a show. So now we have a live show.
That's awesome. So is it going well?
It is. It's going really well. We're getting quite a following, and we're just doing the stuff that her and I normally do, where we talk about things that are going on and current issues and ranting and raving about the injustices going on in the country and in the state. And we just do that on the air. And people call in and they contribute to the conversation, and it's a lot of fun. So we get a lot of great patriots calling in.
Tell me what caused you to be involved with this rally today.
Well, you know, if you would have asked me last year if I would ever be involved in protests or doing rallies, I'd probably say, well, probably not. You know, it's like, it's not really the kind of person that I ever thought I was. But when all these things started happening with the mask mandates and businesses being closed down and people's liberty and freedom being trampled all over the place, I don't know, it just set something off in me. And I started speaking out, and early on, Natalie and I actually helped organize, and even actually organized a couple of the first rallies that were up here several months ago. Other people got involved, and it turned into quite a movement. And so now it's kind of taken on its life of its own, which is really great.
Yeah, it is.
And you know, we're coming here whenever we can to every rally, and we're speaking out on the radio, and we're posting on the web, and we even stage maskless shop-ins from time to time.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So Natalie,
Getting ready to
you're
do
not
more.
busy at the moment. You guys keep switching off and signing.
I know.
Looks like you got a lot of petitions signed.
We did.
Yes, we did. We're guessing we probably got over 200 signed today.
What's your target?
There was, I'm sorry, what was that?
Target.
Our target, we need to get a total of 143,000 signatures. That's a specified percentage of the number of votes that were collected in the last gubernatorial election in which she was elected before we can petition the legislature and force them to consider this. So there's no expiration date on these signatures. We will use them when we have enough of them. So if she runs for governor again, we can still use these signatures to impeach her.
That is excellent. Appreciate you working towards that, because we got to start somewhere, and that's a good place to start.
Well,
Eddie Aragon at Rock of Talk from the Kiva, 1600 AM. He's the one who paid the lawyer to draft this up and start this back in spring of last year. So he's been working hard to get this out in spite of the Republican committee in New Mexico trying to stop us. So, yeah, we're working uphill on this one.
Well, I think the citizens of the country and the state here particularly are working uphill just about everywhere. So we appreciate you guys going after that. So what is it? I was asking her what the reason was for her to be here. What is your reason for being here and participating in the rally?
My kids. So if anyone told me last year that I'd be an activist, I'd have been, you crazy? I got 5 kids. I ain't got time for this. But, then came the lockdown, then came Mask Mania, and we're like, you know what? Let's go protest. Let's go to rallies. You know what? People aren't talking to each other. Let's get these coordinators talking to each other so we can get more people at rallies. Met up with her, started gabbing, started talking, started live streaming. The rest is history. So, and then of course Eddie.
Actually met Natalie at I think one of the first rallies I went to, and her and I just started talking, and we just kind of had some chemistry as far as that thing goes, and
we just kept bumping into each other at rallies. Yeah. We're like, hey, you must be really into this. Okay. And she suggested we jump on Facebook. Okay. And then Eddie Aragon said, hey, you want to do a show? It's like, well, the other thing too is apparently there aren't a lot of women that are willing to speak out and put their names and faces out there. And I understand that. We live by the grace of God. We're expecting, to get pushback any day. Our van has been egged and vandalized. So, we just keep praying for protection, but we feel like we got to keep doing what we're doing, and we're teaching our children that your freedoms are not the government's to take or to give. And we are just, who is it that said, it was Ronald Reagan, that every generation, we are one generation away from losing our liberties if we don't stand up and fight for them. So this is our fight.
And we got to get people to stand up and realize that liberty is something they are entitled to. We need to get them to say no to these mandates. We need them to throw away the stupid mask, which if you do a little bit of research, you find out it's all bogus. It's all simply a tool to control people and to have people submit. And I will not submit, ever. Okay? And we need to have other people stand up with us and say, I'm not going to submit. We need to have people all across this state open their businesses fully and not terrorize their customers by trying to make them wear a mask or any of this other social distancing nonsense. We realize, Natalie and I both realize, there's really a virus out there, but there's been viruses out there forever. People get sick every year from viruses. We don't shut down America because of viruses. We don't destroy people's lives. A lot of people have spent every cent they have. They've invested every cent they have, probably leveraged their home and whatever else they have in order to start a business. They never imagined that the government would come in and force them to shut down when they have done nothing wrong.
No, you're spot on. We're actually working in the southeastern part of the state with concerned citizens from New Mexico and trying to spread that around to all the counties to do that very thing, to open the state back up and then start. And I think our patriots in the state are beginning to get fired up and actually want, they realize that they're in a war now, and they realize they got to do something. And that's something that's very important. That's what this is very much about. And I mean, it's an ideological war, and it's not a physical war, praise God. But so keep it from getting there. We've got to make some changes.
There's a real simple way to end this war without violence or fighting. All people have to do is civil disobedience, refuse to comply, open your businesses. That's all you have to do. If you take away the things that the governor has been doing and all over the country, actually, if you say, no, we're not going to do that, you take away that power from them. They're no longer a threat. You can go on with living your life. There's nothing they can do to force you to do these things, especially if we're all together on this. So Unfortunately, the mainstream media is alive and well, spewing lies on a daily basis, and anything good that's going on, they don't report it. Natalie and I all the time on our radio show, we're talking about things that are going on around the country that the mainstream news is not talking about. I have to go through painstaking efforts all week long looking at independent articles that I see from people that are all around the country reporting things and finding out what's really going on. And then we bring that to light and we let people know what's really going on. So one thing we tell people to do, turn off the fake news, turn off the mainstream news. You're not going to get anything useful out of that. All it's going to do is stress you out and cause you to have fear. What we need to do is get rid of the fear, and we need to have more faith.
You got that right. So pretty much can't add to that either. I don't think I'm going to be talking much in this whole podcast with all the different people that have said what they need to say. But I will say this. As a citizen, these are citizens who just got fed up. Pretty much everybody here has just gotten fed up with not getting anything done. And they've just stepped out and done something. And these guys are making it happen. We can all make it happen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.